Finding your purpose is a total waste of time. That's because you don't find purpose. You build it yourself. First, we have to define purpose, and this is actually the problem because there's two definitions of purpose. The first comes from the corporate world. Think like schools of management and human resources. In this case, purpose is defined as a goal or an achievement. And it's usually implied that the only way to have a happy and fulfilling life is to find that purpose and then work towards it. That's what makes life worth living. Dr. Schippers talks about the importance of people finding a purpose and then presents what is essentially a worksheet full of vague questions and advice that's actually inconsistent with some existing research, so each. Also, her article doesn't really test anything. It's purely theoretical, which isn't inherently bad, but it means we don't know if what she's saying actually works. Social media really likes this corporate definition of purpose. And I am part of the problem with that. Last year, I made a video about finding your purpose, and I referenced Dr. Schippers' research a lot, and that's on me. Like, that was lazy of me. Motivation and discipline and happiness and confidence are all incredibly complex neural and chemical processes that scientists are still trying to figure out. It's not as easy as find your purpose, life gets better. Like, that's not how this works. But that messaging is so compelling. Like, do you want to be happy in life? That's a question I see all over social media. Well, we could talk about hedonic hotspots and cortical pleasure, and maybe we could design like a 3-month study about how different types of pleasure translate into long-term joy and satisfaction. That would be so interesting, and it would probably be very useful. But it would also be a lot of work. And there's never a guarantee of success when it comes to research. Telling your audience that there's this key to happiness, this magical cure-all for your entire life in the form of a purpose, it's so much easier and it's probably more interesting as well, even if it's not true. A quick side note, if any of those topics sounded interesting, things like motivation or discipline or happiness or confidence or whatever, just ask in the comments and I'll put together as much research as I possibly can and maybe even make a video for you. So yeah, social media promoting this lazy narrative that you have to find your purpose, right, to be fulfilled isn't just some baseless claim. It's also pretty harmful. That's anecdotal evidence. It was harmful for me. In 2022, I thought I had found my purpose. I had gotten my first big boy job at a college. It was in an industry that I loved. And so I thought, this is my purpose. And I was so confident in that purpose that I ended up writing down a bunch of goals that I promised myself I would accomplish by the time I turned 25. And the reason I'm making this video now is that I'm a few days from turning 25, like right now. And I recently found that goal sheet. And most of those goals don't matter to me. My big fancy purpose was completely gone in like a couple months. Social media had taught me that in order to be fulfilled, I needed a purpose, but I had just lost mine. And so I literally just sat there and I waited for a new purpose to like appear. In all seriousness, there's this moment that I remember like very vividly. I was sitting on the corner of my bed. I was pulling like this maneuver, right? Like head in hands. It was a year after I'd written down those goals, and it was also my 23rd birthday. And I just remember thinking to myself, what am I doing with my life? But there is another definition of purpose. Psychology defines purpose not as a goal or an achievement, but instead as a feeling. Dr. Sutton's work, for example, talks about how a feeling of purpose correlated to better cognitive health over time. And Dr. Kim's work expands in this idea, showing that a higher sense of purpose can lead to a healthier lifestyle. A road trip with the boys after graduating can have purpose. Playing basketball because you enjoy it can have purpose, even though you can't shoot a 3 to save your life. Purpose doesn't come from the action itself. It comes from the way that action makes you feel, which means that anything can have purpose. We see successful people find purpose in the life they already have and then build on that over time, which supports psychology's definition of purpose being a feeling instead of like a big dream that you work towards. Chris Bumstead is a great example of this. He is a 6-time consecutive Mr. Olympia champion.
No, I mean, like I said, I was competing almost as a hobby, and I was putting a lot of effort into it, obviously, but I was still like, all right, I need to get a career, I need to graduate school, and I need to like have a future for myself.
Alex Hormozi is another great example. He currently runs a portfolio of companies doing over $250 million combined. But he started his business journey because he hated his job.
I just hated my job a lot, and I hated where I lived a lot. And so I was like, well, I will just not be here. Don't know what city I'm gonna go to, but just not this city. I went the furthest place from Baltimore, which is California. And then I was like, okay, well, what do I hate doing? Well, let me not do that. And instead, I was like, I'll do fitness because I like fitness. And I was like, at the very least, I'll do something I enjoy.
Okay, cut back to me, corner of bed, and I'm feeling like I'm going nowhere in life. And eventually, I just get tired of waiting. So I started doing things that I liked, just because I liked them. I went to the gym, and I started playing basketball more, and I studied cognitive science in college, and I'm a total nerd, so I started researching the brain again because it's fun for me. Weird. I started learning how to edit YouTube videos because I really like public speaking, and that feels like the best way to do that today. And somewhere in all of this, I don't know when or where, but I just had a moment. I had gone from paralyzed by fear of not having a purpose to finding purpose in things that I enjoyed. And for the first time in about a year, I was excited about the future. None of this happens if I'd stayed on the corner of my bed waiting for a distant purpose to appear and fix my life. That doesn't happen. And if we look at examples of real success, we see that it's not about having a purpose as some distant goal, but it's instead about finding a feeling of purpose where you are now and building on that. I did eventually quit my job and I started my own company, and the logo looks like it belongs on a pirate ship, which is like the coolest thing ever. And it's not like, oh, like I have my purpose now and so the work is so easy and I'm just motivated all the time. Like, no, the work sucks and I'm often lazy. But we're making videos and we're stoked and we're getting better and we're bringing real science to an industry that desperately needs it, to people I think that desperately need it, because that was me for a long time. And if you've liked this video, or if you like the vision, then you should definitely subscribe. You don't have to quit your job or take some huge risk right now. You just have to keep moving forward. That's all we're doing. We're just moving forward. Look at us. We're freaking crushing it, man.
I feel like I should go down and get another shot, but that was so steep.